Hola a todos. El presidente Donald Trump se reunió hoy en Las Vegas, Nevada, con un grupo de hispanos. Fue como una especie de mesa redonda en la que se sentaron en una mesa y los hispanos que estaban allí, algunos de ellos le expresaron algunas cosas que querían decirle al presidente Trump, sobre todo comentarle aspectos acerca de su vida y cómo se sentían ellos cuando el presidente Trump estaba de presidente, cómo se sentían ellos en su economía, cómo se sentían ellos en su vida en general. Y en este video pues voy a mostrar lo que pasó ahí. Voy a tratar de dejar lo más que pueda lo que ellos expresan, porque quiero que ustedes miren que lo que los latinos que están ahí le están diciendo al presidente Trump es exactamente de lo que hemos estado hablando aquí, de lo que sentimos los latinos en general, de lo que está pasando en este país que está gobernado por los demócratas. Así que vamos a ver el video. Vamos a empezar con el presidente de la empresa Goya. No sé si se recuerdan ustedes que cuando el presidente Trump estaba en campaña para el 2020, más o menos por ahí, la campaña para el 2020, y la comunidad latina se enteró que el presidente de Goya lo estaba apoyando, que estaba apoyando al presidente Trump. Muchos latinos quisieron boicotear los productos Goya. ¿Se acuerdan o no se dieron cuenta? Imagínense hasta qué punto llegó la desinformación que provoca el Partido Demócrata.
My name is Mayra Flores. I am the first Mexican-born Congresswoman sworn into Congress in 2022, and I'm here today to moderate this important discussion. Building America's Future is a 510c4 that was created to inform and empower Americans to take ownership to our country's policy direction and demand that our government at all levels enact policy reforms to improve the lives of Americans. We need to make America's future great again. Today, we are joined by some very special guest, President Donald J. Trump. Goya Foods Bob. He's a leader with a spine of steel and a heart of gold. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Bob Unanue.
Él es el presidente de la empresa Goya. Yo les estaba contando que la empresa de él sufrió un pequeño boicot cuando él dijo que apoyaba a Donald Trump. Entonces vamos a escuchar lo que él tiene que decir. Él comparte algunas cosas acerca de su empresa que me parecen muy interesantes.
And when I see servicemen, I say, not just thank you for your service, thank you for our freedom. We have freedom, we take it for granted. And if we don't get it back, we're going to lose this country. And that's why we're sitting next to the greatest president of our time, Donald J. Trump.
Amen.
Thank you. The song goes, those were the days, my friend. Some of you are old enough to remember that. I thought they'd never end. We'd sing and dance forever and a day. And that's where we were under President Trump. I call them days que buena, so good. I call the days we are today, que mala. How bad has it gotten? How bad has it gotten? It's gotten bad. Under President Trump, our economy was cruising. The best economy ever. Prosperity. We had a safe world. No wars. We had no inflation. Virtually no inflation. We had freedom. Under President Trump, our real average weekly wages were up 8.4%. I'll say later on, under this administration, it's down 3.4. We cannot keep up with the cost of this administration that is hammering not only the Hispanic community, the African American community, all communities. The border was secure. Illegal immigration was at a minimum. Yesterday, the CPI index came out hotter than expected at 2.4%. And this is on top of year after year. And we've had over the years 5.4% inflation. This is on top of historic inflation. Overall prices are up to 20.5%, but let me tell you, I'll steal a phrase from Mr. President, that's fake news. For Goya, it's up more like 50%. We will go out to buy cans. We do a lot of canning. Come to Brookshire, Texas, and we'll show you how we can at 2,000 cans a minute. Very efficient factory. Cans went up 64%. Transportation, ever since the Harris-Biden war on fossil fuels, day one, the Green New Scam, the pulling out of Afghanistan, we showed so much weakness, they invaded Ukraine. I don't say that, to get a buzz or as an insult. It's reality. She is bad. She's bad for this country. She's bad for Latinos. She's bad for all of us. Real average wages were down 3.4%, and wages have been up. I mean, our wages have, in warehousing and all that distribution, have almost doubled. But they're still not keeping up with the cost of this administration, the burden they put on our society. Now,
exacto. Lo que él está diciendo es que en la empresa de él, los empleados han recibido más sueldo, se les ha subido el sueldo, incluso algunos hasta el doble, pero que con la inflación que hay ahorita, aún así, aún con ese sueldo, no ajusta para sus necesidades. Vamos a ver lo que el presidente Trump dice.
Who would even believe this is possible? And she was one of the ones, Kamala, we don't have to talk about Joe because Joe was overthrown. He was overthrown as president of the United States. First time that's happened. We call it a coup. I just say he was just overthrown. It's simpler. People say, what's a coup? A coup is you were overthrown. And I believe he likes me more than Kamala, but what do I know? How would I know that? But I think he likes me actually a little bit, about this much more than her, but they're having a lot of fighting going on. And they asked her a question the other day on one of these ridiculous shows, and they said, well, what would you have done different? What would you have done differently? She complains what she's going to do, and I always say, why didn't she do it? It's so easy. You just sit back. Why didn't you do it? You had almost 4 years to do it. But she's worse than Biden, I'm telling you. He's more intelligent than her. Can you believe this? Can you believe? Okay. And it's not that I'm a fan, but I think what happened to him was terrible. He had 14 million votes. She came in last because she was the first one to drop out of the race. She dropped out. There were like 22 people, and she dropped out. And it's a terrible thing. I mean, you talk about a threat to democracy. That's a threat to democracy. But
Exacto, lo que le está diciendo, lo que el presidente Trump dice. Es lo que estábamos hablando en el otro video, cuando Kamala se presentó en Univision, cuando le hicieron la pregunta de que cómo fue el proceso para sustituir al presidente Biden de la candidatura, y ella no respondió eso, no respondió esa pregunta, porque ella sabe que lo que pasó fue que le dieron un golpe silencioso al presidente Biden, lo quitaron, e imagínense, ellos hablan de democracia, y eso no es democracia, lo que ellos hacen. Ellos dicen que el presidente Trump es una amenaza para la democracia, pero en realidad los que practican la antidemocracia son ellos.
The biggest threat to democracy is incompetence. And we have incompetent people leading our country, and we have problems other than borders. We have the biggest problem is probably the possibility of World War III, and that would be a war like no other with all of the weaponry that you have today. You have weapons the likes of which this world has never seen before. So we have people leading us that are not the right people. And, we had no wars. I finished off ISIS. We had the best economy ever. We did great. And for the Hispanic Americans, because that's why we're here, I want to just say household income for Hispanic Americans. I asked them, give me some of the just basics, reached an all-time high. So your household income was the highest it ever was. The Hispanic American poverty hit the lowest rate ever. So the lowest rate of poverty, the highest rate of income. So far we're doing good, right? Second.
Exacto. Cuando estaba el presidente Trump de presidente, el ingreso de cada familia en Estados Unidos era mucho más del que estamos recibiendo ahorita. Y no teníamos la inflación que tenemos en este momento. Por eso sentíamos que lo que ganábamos nos rendía bastante para pagar nuestras cuentas. Hubo personas que hasta pudieron comprar sus casas, pudieron invertir, pero ahora no. Ahora nadie puede hacer eso, comprar una casa ahorita. Comprar una casa ahorita es un sueño.
We did great in 2020. We did better in 2020, frankly, than we did in 2016. Much better. We got millions more votes. But we did very well with the Hispanic, and now we're doing record numbers. And I think we're going to have a tremendous election. I think we're going to have an election like no other. I think this is going to be the biggest and most important election in the history of the country.
Es verdad. Miren, les voy a decir algo. Hay muchos latinos que están apoyando al presidente Trump. Hay muchos latinos. Y muchos latinos que votaban por los demócratas antes, ahora van a votar por el presidente Trump. Porque están abriendo los ojos. Están abriendo los ojos de quién es la persona que en realidad trabaja por el país. Y quiénes son los que no trabajan por el país y se enfocan en otras cosas que a nadie le interesan, solo a ellos.
And a big beneficiary will be the people in this room. They've been just so great. You know, Hispanic people have tremendous. They say you can't generalize, but I think you can. They have wonderful entrepreneurship, and they have. Oh, do they have? You have such energy. Just ease up a little bit, okay? Ease up. No, you have great ambition, you have great energy, very smart, and you really do. It's like natural entrepreneurs. That's why the small businesses in the country, I mean, they are largely the number of Hispanic Americans operating small businesses and big businesses too, very big businesses, running them for stockholders. So it's an incredible group of people. It's an honor to have you on my side. We are getting numbers of Hispanic Americans that nobody ever thought possible. And we're up in all of the polls. Well, it looks like we're leading just about everywhere now. We're leading I think all of the swing states that came out this morning. We're leading all of the swing states.
Los latinos aquí en Estados Unidos son los que podemos hacer la diferencia. Somos 60 millones de latinos. 36 millones están registrados para votar. Entonces podemos hacer una gran diferencia en estas elecciones. Si nos interesa tener una vida mejor y que podamos lograr muchas cosas que queremos hacer en este país, pues pensemos y busquemos el cambio. Busquemos el cambio, porque el presidente Trump ya escucharon cómo habla, ya miran cómo habla. Totalmente diferente a cómo habla Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris cuando habla no da nada, solo habla un montón de palabras, habla de un montón de cosas que nadie entiende, pero el presidente Trump habla claro, no anda con vueltas, habla claro y sencillo.
Thank you to America's Future Tour for having me here. Thank you, Mr. President, for having me. It's a true honor to share my story, and my story echoes so many Latinos around the nation. I was born in Mexico and raised as an infant in the United States. And my mom is a high school graduate. My dad made it to the 6th grade. As he was a construction worker, and when I was 12, he passed away from cancer because of all the chemicals he had been exposed to as a farmer and construction worker. Under your administration, I was able to afford a home. I was able to buy my first home and save money, and it was the first time I'd have been able to get ahead. And feeling like I'd always been behind, your administration was at the point where I was able to get ahead. Under the Biden administration, I was forced to take the COVID-19 vaccine, and I refused as a religious accommodation, and I was honorably discharged. And with that, most of my savings dwindled under the Biden-Harris economy. And I had found myself having to work 2 jobs, having to do rideshare and having to do graphic designing to make ends meet at that point. I was raised in a Democratic household. My values remained consistent. Mr. President, you were the first Republican president I voted for in 2016.
Excelente. Ya miramos la historia de ella. Cuando el presidente Trump estaba en el gobierno, estaba gobernando, ella pudo comprar una casa y podía ahorrar. Ahora no, ahora con Biden no puede ahorrar y apenas puede mantener su casa.
I had never seen anyone articulate the way you did how great this country is and how much it's worth fighting for. You saw what it really was, and you want to protect it. And Mr. President, I support you 100%, and I know my Latino community, my Latino family supports you, and we have been struggling so hard under this Biden economy. We are under a Democratic diet right now, and I am tired of being on that diet.
Así es, estamos en la dieta democrática. En la dieta democrática y tenemos que salir de eso. Eso tiene que terminarse ya.
When you were in office, me and my wife, we had a pretty nice savings account. But with this current administration, my savings have been depleted. My wife and I have noticed what we used to spend on groceries for a family of 6. It's the same amount that we spend on just the 2 of us. We're empty nesters. We had safe communities. Our country was safe. When you were in office, you showed your strength and achieved peace through strength with other countries. Your leadership trickled down into our communities, and we respected authority in one another. We need secure borders. Without borders, you have no country. And with the flood of illegal immigrants, this administration has no plan, with no structure. And with no structure, you're bound to have chaos.
Hispanic, that they are facing the same situation. What is frustrating is how Democrats who stands for Hispanic, that's what they say. We are here for Latino people. And I ask to everyone, what they have done to us? Nothing. They have done nothing. And that's one of the reasons why the Latino community now stand for you, Mr. Trump. That's why they are supporting you and they want you back. It's not time to regret, because many people, they vote for Democrats, as I did. But now, I'm standing here, and I'm standing for all others who wants to be part of your team, who wants to be part of this American dream. And believe me, they are waiting for you to hold your hand, and they have the faith that you are going to bring America again, as we are dreaming to have it. Here to this.
Lo que ella dijo es lo que todos pensamos. Es lo que todos pensamos. Exactamente. Espero que lo hayan leído bien. Lean bien lo que las personas están diciendo en los subtítulos, porque lo que están diciendo son cosas muy importantes. Y lo que la señora acaba de decir es exactamente lo que los latinos estamos sintiendo. Tenemos que tener hasta 2 o 3 trabajos para poder terminar la semana, para poder terminar el mes. No nos ajusta para pagar las cuentas solo con un trabajo.